Attention, please. The show starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
What is going on, everybody? Hopefully everybody can hear me. I'm trying some new audio stuff tonight. We're going to do some different camera angles and things like that as well. So we're going to see. But hope everybody's having a good night. Welcome to another Wrenchin Wednesday. I believe this is number 13. We got a pretty cool show for you tonight. I think I've been looking into a lot of stuff here lately. And people are talking a lot about shocks and then spring cups. Learned some things on spring cups that was obvious after thinking about it, but new to me that I think it'd be something good to share with people. So, but yeah, so here we are. Dank, what's up? Dank's in here. Casey, what's up, man? Brian's in here. So hope everybody's having a great night. Already got almost 20 people in here, so that is awesome. I appreciate you guys very, very much for always obviously supporting the channel. We've got a really good podcast coming out tomorrow. So can't wait for that, Chris Baumgartner. If you guys haven't already seen some of the highlight clips coming out, it's going to be it's a really, really good one. It's one of my favorite podcasts that we've done. I mean, I think I say that every week. Every single podcast is my favorite, but truly, I feel like we're getting better with every single one, as well as we just had great guests, and I've been very, very fortunate in that regard. So, but yeah, so how's everybody doing tonight? What's everybody up to? Everybody's getting ready. We've got all kinds of stuff, all kinds of races going on this weekend. I know we got the duels at Trackside, which I thought I seen they're going live too. So we may have a little bit of a lighter audience tonight, but that's totally fine. Those guys are having a live stream. I think Dustin's on it, so kind of at the same time we are. But anyway, Trackside has the duels this weekend, foam tire and rubber tire. And then we also have, I believe, at Battlegrounds, there is a big race down there. And there is also PT's Club Race, which gets hundreds of cars. And Slideways has a Crown Jewel race down there. So, I mean, there's just, if you're in the Midwest, North, South, East, West, it doesn't matter. You've got somewhere to race. So, pretty awesome. But yeah, tell me where everybody's going, what everybody's doing, and yeah. So, Bruce, what's up, man? Good to see you. Hopefully, I'm sure you're wrenching, huh? Wrenching on a beautiful Wrenchin Wednesday. Let's see, Kerry, what's up, Kerry? He says he's going to Battleground. Cool. Yeah, Central Mississippi. That's awesome. I want to get down there. I know when Ryan Ralph was on the podcast, he talked a lot about that race and how great it was. So that's definitely something that I'd like to get to and check out. Lucas Yoder, what's up, man? He says, what's up? Let's see. Bruce is going to Brickhouse for the next 2 weeks. Very cool. Dank said he's going to Brickhouse for the GLSS practice. So is that GLSS race, Bruce and Dank, that is in 2 weeks, right? So it's more like a warm-up race this weekend and then a big race, then the big GLSS race is the following weekend. I think that's right, if I remember correctly. But that's super cool. So Anthony, what's up, man? I don't know. Anthony's probably got a big race at his track this weekend. I don't know, but I'm assuming they're racing over at Darlington. Luke says he's going to Pheasant Land this weekend. Very cool. Yeah, so Bruce says that is correct. Bobby, my man Bobby, he's going to PTs. What's up? So I'm sure Bobby and Dylan are both going to PTs money race Saturday. Very cool. Next weekend is the Darlington race, according to Anthony. Very cool. Yeah, I've got Flow Racing up here on the big TV next to me for they're on B mains right now at Golden Isles for the tonight's not a points race, but for the first big race of the year, points paying race, at least for Lucas Oil Series, is this weekend down there. So very cool. But cool, guys. Well, yeah, let's get into it. One thing that I want to try, producer Kaylee's in here with me, so she can let me know if I've screwed up the audio, because I know last time it was a relative disaster. But I want to make sure, I want to try this real quick. We're going to switch camera angles, and then we're going to see. We're going to make sure that I still have audio, because last time we lost audio. So I want to make sure. So if I switch over to camera angle, be here, and I'm able to show you guys everything. Hopefully, it's a lot better than our top-down view. Kaylee's going to let me know that she can hear me sooner than later, hopefully. She can. We got the thumbs up, so cool. Maybe I didn't screw anything up too big this time. I still am unaware of how I screwed it up from last time, but we can go from there. So, Rob says howdy. What's up? We are international with Rob in here, so we're officially an international podcast / live stream when Rob joins us, because he is from Canada. So very cool. Bruce says Limestone Rubber Tire Meltdown is 328, and I know Bruce told me, and Bruce has told probably everybody at this point, but Bruce is going to be announcing that whole day at Limestone. So pretty cool there. Let's see. Cornell, what's up, Cornell? I think you might be a new guy. So cool. Thanks for coming in. Cornell says that he's running. He's going to run Battleground. Very cool. Tommy Lee says. Tommy Lee's asking Bruce if he'll be there. And cool. Everybody can hear me. Brian's from Arizona. Awesome. Carrie says, huh? So not sure what I missed there. Huh? Oh, messing with me? Very cool. Yep, Bruce says he'll be there announcing and racing. So very cool, guys. Well, I think we can go ahead and get into it a little bit here. As you guys seen in kind of the introductory video that we do, at least I try to do one every weekend before the live stream. Brian says he's a PA posse guy. Very cool. Very nice, Brian. I'm an Indiana guy, so I'm kind of like out in no man's land too. Brian, I don't know that Indiana guys are necessarily outlaws or posse. We're like our own little sub niche as well. So, I mean, realistically, Indiana's more non-wing than anything. It's honestly hard to see a wing race in Indiana a lot of the time. So, there might be a couple, unless you're watching 305 racing. So, oh, lordy. But anyway, guys, let's like I said, let's get into it. The question that I have for you guys, and going back to the video before we went live today, is we are going to be talking about emulsion versus bladder shocks. And I used to be incredibly pro emulsion, and typically I try to stay away from the bladder, but I think I figured some stuff out on the bladder stuff, and now I kind of feel like I'm a bit of a bladder guy. So, and that's something, when you want to build a totally dead shock, bladders are very, very easy to achieve that. My emulsion stuff, I haven't bled these in a long time, so they probably have a little bit of rebound in them, but not very much. So pretty good for an emulsion shock. But yeah. So let's get switched over onto the switch over cameras here, but that is a question I have for you guys. What are you guys running? So do you guys prefer emulsion? Do you guys prefer bladders? Kind of what do you guys think, and what do you guys typically like to run? So Dan Tyler, he's checking in from Osage City, Kansas. Very cool. Always love that. So let's switch over cameras here, and hopefully I obviously didn't change hardly anything, so we should not have any issues with audio. So this is a shock directly off my 26 Assault sprint car, and what I am going to do is I'm just going to service this. This is actually I write down on all of my ball cups here. I write down, and actually it doesn't wear off, which is surprising. I haven't had any issues with any wear or losing that at any time, which is really nice. But this is really easy, or really nice, when you're trying to rebuild shocks. Undoubtedly, sometimes you forget which corner goes where, so this makes it really, really nice. Don't let me get caught up with everybody here. Cornell says he runs bladder. Bruce says whatever comes with his used cars that he buys. Dan says Osage. Cool. Awesome, Dan. Osage, Kansas. Casey says he's about to be switching over to bladders. Very cool. Jason Heed says emulsion. Okay. Brian says he runs bladder, and he's still trying to figure it out. So, and then Matt says, "Do I have the weekend off?" I'm not sure yet, Matt. I'm hoping that I can race. I'm hoping to go race. We'll just have to see. Just have to see. It's too early to tell at this point, which is okay. So anyway, guys, what we're gonna do, like I said, this is the right rear, which I have written right. Whoops, right there. If this thing will zoom in for me, hopefully you guys can see that. There we go. So I write down what corner of the shock it goes on kind of the inside of the bulk up. That way I just know where things go. But what I also like to do is my gigantic hands that I have when I'm trying to make collar adjustments in practice in particular, it's way easier for me to get my sausages in here and turn these big bore spring cups than the small bore spring cup or spring shock collars. So that's what I try to move or try to twist are, that's why I run the big ones. So I run that on all four corners of my sprint car. And then I need to actually convert my late model over to these as well. I just haven't yet. So, let's see. Bobby says he used to be opposite. He was bladder over emulsion. Emulsion changing too much due to temperature and sitting. Yep, I agree with you there, Bobby. Kerry says he runs both. Dylan, what's up, my man? My main man, Dylan. He's in here. Part of the what is it? Oh, sorry. And then Casey Bass says his main question is big bore versus small bore, and when to run one over the other. Casey, we will go over that here in a minute. Brian says he runs emulsion. Ricky runs emulsion. And Dylan says that's not a custom work shock. All right. Fair enough. But what we need to do is we can go in here and we can talk big bore. So to Casey's point, let's talk big bore versus small bore first, guys. And one of the so I mean it's kind of a personal feel thing. Let me go back to my face here. Sorry, you guys got to look at my ugly face, but it's kind of in my mind it's opinion based, right? So if you want to run big bore versus small bore, I think if you want to go like with the quote unquote in crowd right now, or what is kind of standard for everybody, seems like standard right now is there's more and more people on small bores than there are big bores. Um, and I think it's kind of the other way. It used to be the other way around. I think there was a lot of guys that were on big bores that have went to small bores now. But I think what a lot of people are seeing is the small bore stuff is actually starting to add a little bit more. Um, it's starting to add a little bit more. I guess the word would be like sharpness to the car. Instead of, I think the big bores ended up being quite a bit more lazy for people, kind of being a little bit more, a little softer, a little more kind of definitely making the car less edgy, and it calms down. Like if you have what I would call like a busy car. But I also think that the big thing for small bore stuff is it's also helping guys free their cars up a little bit too, it seems like. So the bore size basically is going to be more or less like how quickly your dampening happens or reacts. And then obviously you can tune things with pistons and oil and things like that as well. But a big bore shock, from my experience, will make the car kind of go down on that lazier feel on the lazier side, or the more cushiony side, where I think we're going so fast with these cars now. I think guys are wanting to, they're wanting to get their car a little bit more on edge, or on that edge, if you will. And I think that's the feeling that a lot of people are looking for now, and they're getting it through small bore. So hopefully that makes sense, Casey. A little bit of an explanation at least. But as far as when to run them versus when not, I would say uh, if you're on like a rougher track or something like that where you need to kind of calm the car down, uh, you can put you can put big bores on and you can really get the car to calm down a little bit. Where if you're on a super smooth track and the car can be a little bit more edgy or on that edgier side, I think that helps. I think that helps a bunch to go to the small bore. So at the end of the day, though, it is completely a feel thing. It's completely like there's not a right or a wrong thing. So, um, if you're looking for that, like a little bit more reaction, or you're looking for kind of that, again, trying to get the car closer to the edge. I don't want to ever say that you're trying to make the car feel edgy because I don't feel like anybody wants to do that. But if you're trying to take some laziness out of the car, or you feel like the car can take a little bit more, that's when you can typically go to small bores. And then if you're trying to mellow the car out, or the car's too on edge, that could be an option to go to the a little bit more the bigger bore style. So let me catch up on comments here real quick. Rob's Phil, what's up, Phil? Phil says he has bladders. Rob says he runs both. Dylan says small bores are more reactive, big bores are more lazy. Big bores on a rough track. Yep, with you there. Tyler Keel is in here. What's up, my man? Good to have you in here, dude. Dennis is in here. Yep, Dennis. Appreciate you. Dennis and I have been talking a little bit today on Messenger. Bud says he definitely prefers a small bore feel. He generally only put big bore springs on the rear if he needs to calm the car down. Yep, that is another option that we haven't covered yet. Brian says, stupid question, use rebound or no rebound for bladder or emulsion. So, Brian, if you have a bladder, it is basically self venting out of the cap. So you can't, like, you're going to build a dead shock every time. Like, you would really have to you'd have to try really hard to not build a dead shock on bladder. It's not going to let you build in rebound. I have yet to hear a case on why somebody want to build rebound into a shock. We could have a long conversation on times when maybe you would want to, but you'd be very hard pressed to find somebody who would be willing to say, hey, I'm going to build rebound into a shock. And emulsion is where you're going to be able to basically accidentally build in rebound into your shock. And again, you're not going to want that. You're going to want to build a dead shock. So once you compress it, you want it to stay compressed. And that's the same thing like with a small bore. We got the lights flickering in here. Forgot to pay the light bill. But if you want to build a totally dead shock, that's what you're looking for. So you fully extended. When somebody says a dead shock, you compress it, and now there's nothing. So, Carrie says best of both sides: small bore shocks with big bore springs. I don't disagree. I know there are guys who do that, Carrie. I personally haven't went to the big bore spring style yet. I would like to try that at some point. I honestly just haven't yet. Casey says it does make sense. Thanks. Beautiful. Fantastic. David says high bite is small bore and low grip big bore. Yes, absolutely, David. You are 100% correct. So I agree with that 1,000,000%. So, and that is, again, on more kind of back to what I was trying to say, or what I was saying, on a track that can take the grip and be more edgy. Then that's what I was trying to get at. You can put in you can put on a small bore, where if you want to get the car, make the car a little more lazy, where it'll get into a track that has less grip. To your example, then you put big bores on. So I'm with you 1,000%. Dylan says he's running big bores on his Custom Works cars, mainly because that's what they come with. Haven't switched a small bore yet, but wanting to try soon. Absolutely. No problem, Brian. Rob says that rebound is more for off-road. I still feel like you would want to build a dead shock most of the time, even for off-road, Rob, for the simple fact of like you're not really going to build a consistent rebounded shock. Like there's really no way to, you're going off purely off feel, which can be kind of crappy, I feel like. So I'm not saying that it's wrong, just saying that I don't know that I would purposely build rebound into a shock for any form of RC racing, for the simple fact that you just don't know. We don't have a great way of fine tuning that rebound. Buddy Howell, how we doing, buddy? He says, I think that a small bore allows less fluid around the piston because of the smaller diameter, which makes the car feel more reactive. I think theoretically with the right piston, you could make a big bore act the same way. That's fair. That's fair. I understand the thinking that you're coming at there, and I don't disagree with you. Again, though, I think that you probably don't want to force that simulated feeling. Like if you're able to go one way, go one way. If you want to go the other way, go the other way. Is my opinion. Dylan says he feels the rebound would be hard to duplicate. Yes, that's exactly. Yep. We're all saying the same thing. Tyler says, just so everyone knows and isn't confused about what we're talking about here, a dead shock should still rebound about 1 millimeter after built and pressed on. Interesting, Tyler. So that's newer to me. A dead shock is a dead shock. Period. And with a bladder style shock, you're going to have that either way. I don't think there's a world with a bladder shock where you're going to be able to pump it up enough to even get rebound because of the vent hole. But and then in the same breath, emulsion wise, I don't disagree with you there though, Tyler, because we're going to get that millimeter you're talking about is right there. So I'm with you. But if you can elaborate a little bit more, that would be cool, because that would be something that I don't necessarily have 100% answer on. And is that more of a off-road thing, Tyler, or would that be, or are you saying that's kind of any time we're building a shock, oval, off-road, whatever? Kerry says depends on how much he's shaking is what he uses, with a little softer reaction. Yep, he likes a little softer reaction. Fair enough. But okay, guys. Well, I'm sure TK is about to hopefully write us a book that we can work through, and then we can talk a little bit more. Yep. Oh, already there. Tyler's talking emulsion, and it doesn't rebound like a smidge or a Red Sea hair. You likely don't have enough oil within the shock after a rebuild anytime. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I understand so you're saying that demonstrates that little bit of rebound is saying that you're full on oil. So I understand that. I can get behind that, guys. So what he's looking at here is with this emulsion shock. Again, we'll let it go a little bit, and you can see how we have about that millimeter rebound. That's just telling us that we have a full shock body and a full cap full of oil. That's what that's saying, or that's what Tyler's saying. So cool. TK, good to have you in here, man. I appreciate it. Carson's getting ready to get out on the grass here and get everybody dialed in. Been following him on Facebook. He's awesome. Carson's got some of the best looking cars in RC. David says if someone can figure out a rebound adjustable shock for the left rear, that would be a game changer. Whoops. Yeah, that would be an absolute game changer. But at least how the big car stuff is, David, it would be you would have such small components that I don't think that's feasible. Because even in big car stuff, it is incredibly small parts for even big car shocks. So Tony Leatherman, how we doing, Tony? He says, I bleed my shocks with a spring cup on. That's fair. So you bleed your shocks with a spring cup on to set, and that's what helps you set distance, I'm assuming, is what you're saying there. So you build it like so, and then when you bleed it to when you bleed it to that point, and that gives you. So I don't know if you would want to do that, Tony, for the fact that you should be allowing air in there still. If you set a gap like that, I would think you wouldn't be getting all of the air out. So that could be a potential issue. Um, TK says, correct the right amount of oil. Yep, absolutely. So, but to Tony, to your point, if you're building it, if you come over here, you put a spring cup on and go up again, and Tyler or somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, obviously, but I would assume there you're not being able to get all the air out if you build it with a spacer like that. So keep that in mind, Tony. Something to think about for sure. But the emulsion one's one of my backup shocks. I actually have a set of 4 emulsions built. I hope to actually be able to do a direct comparison test. So what I'd love to do is put a car on the track, run 5-10 laps, and then actually switch out all 4 shocks quickly, and then go from there. And then put emulsions on just to feel the difference, kind of on the same track. I just haven't, when we go to PTs, there's 4,500 people there, so it makes it really, really difficult to even get practice at all during practice. So, which great problem to have. There's so many great racers there. It really is a cool environment. So, I will take a great environment with a bunch of great racers all the time over practice any day of the week. So, unless you blow up diffs in both cars in practice, then that sucks. But don't ask me how I know that. Buddy Howell says, when am I coming down to Ron John to be Austin to race cars and talk? Man, I would love to get down to Ron John's. So Ron John seems like it is a bad to the bone place, but getting down there is going to be the issue. I would love to, is my only answer, and hopefully soon. Lucas says, question that's not about shock related, but when should you start adding weight to the car? So, okay. So, Lucas, that is a great question. And that is somewhat of a loaded question because it honestly it more depends on you than anything. And what look you're feeling, or what kind of look you're looking for out of the car, and situations like that. So, um, my best personal answer for that is you put weight on the car in response to whatever the car is doing. And again, that's my most honest and real answer that I can give. If you're going down the front stretch and the car's doing wheelies, and you don't want the car to do wheelies, put weight on the front of the car. If you're going through the corner and you feel like the car's picking the left rear up, or you're driving really hard off the right rear and the car's loose, you can look at putting left rear weight on or like putting a brass hub on the left rear to keep that car kind of squatted and tighten the car up. Other options, like if you are going into the corner and traction rolling, put weight on the left side of the car. Great option there as well. So, I mean, there's all kinds of different options. There's no real right way or wrong. There's definitely a wrong way. There's definitely wrong ways, but you really got to search for what you're looking for for a feel out of the car, and to get started, like not knowing when or where or what to do. Not knowing what to do, the best thing that I can say is, again, look at the car. Look at what the car's doing on the racetrack, and start adding accordingly. Keep what you like, take off what you don't like, and go from there. And that's the best option, or best advice that I have there. Andy says, can you have small bore and big bores on the car? Example, big bore on the right rear, small bore on the left rear. I have never seen anybody do that, Andy. I would assume or not assume that people have done that before. I personally have never tried it, and I can't honestly say that I've ever seen a bunch of people do that. But could be a really interesting oddball thing to try for sure. And I don't think that is, good ideas, bad ideas, whatever. It'd be interesting for sure. Tony says correct. So I'm assuming we're talking about So you're intentionally leaving air in the shock then for your emulsion stuff, Tony? I'd love to know your mindset behind that, just to understand it more. Buddy says same. Not sure. Oh, you want to get down there to Ron John's buddy? Let's see. Chris Bumgardner. So Mr. Bumgardner's in here, and Gartner, and he is this week's guest on the podcast. So thanks for coming in, Chris. He says, "What if you don't have access to a red sea hare to measure around? Does a brown sea hare work?" From my knowledge, I think brown, blonde, black. I mean, really anything works. To my knowledge, and I think the big one that you can't measure with would be just a bald C. So if you're working with bald C, which I hope most of you are, at least my personal preference, that makes measuring more difficult. And then you got to go find measuring tips and tricks from somewhere else. And then that can really open up a can of worms if you're having to seek other measurement devices, from what I hear. So if you're married, for sure, you probably shouldn't go out and seek other measurement devices. And that's the best I've got. So hopefully Chris is still in here. And wow, this got off the rails pretty quick. Alrighty, back at it. Lucas says, I'm building a late model right now, and he can't get the car to turn in or out unless he babies the car. I'm thinking of adding some weight to the front to push the tires in to give them more grip. Can't get the car to turn. Interesting. Lucas, send me a message on kind of what you have going on, and maybe we can tune on that thing a little bit. And so, I'd like to see where you're at, like shot collar wise, and see maybe a setup sheet on where you're at oils wise and springs and all that. It's really hard to diagnose, something like that. Generally, there's just so many different things you can do, and it would be more and more specific to what you're looking to do on the car, depending on how you have the car set up and what you're looking for. So Tony says, if you fill it clear up with oil and you still bleed all the air out, you can't travel that far with a spring on it if you bleed it without a cup. Fair enough. I understand that, Tony. Ryan Ralph's in here. He says he shoots for 10 millimeters of rebound. Nice. Very nice. David says, Andy Nelson, you absolutely can, but I think the opposite would be better. Yeah. That would be an interesting thing to try. The big bore on one side, small bore on the other. That would be super interesting. Old JB's in here. What's up, JB? Chris Bumgarner, can't wait to see you at the track. Heck yeah. From Dennis. That's a 0 rebound set. You got to watch out for that Ryan Ralph guy. Absolutely. Run away. You're running away and hiding now. All right, we're going to lose our producer, everybody, if we keep any more with that terrible talk. So we got to the HR. Kaylee's HR brain's having a fit. So, all right, guys. Well, let's crack this thing apart, see what we're working with, and get this thing rebuilt. Oh, we're not on. We don't have emulsion shocks, so don't listen to me. I don't know why I just turned that. Okay, boom, boom, boom. Pull all that off. Get the bladder out. Whoops. So this shock has apparently too many nights on it for sure. I want to say this shock only has 2 or 3 nights. Kaylee's laughing at me aggressively. Yeah, it makes an immature noise, Kaylee. Grow up a little bit, would you? My goodness. We're talking about... We can only see your hand on the camera. Oh, sorry. Because I'm doing this number? Oh, got it. Well, it's hard to... It's hard. Sorry. Everybody knew what I was doing. I was draining. So anyway, for those of you on the newer side, obviously you're hoping that that's going to be relatively clear. So I let it go too long. I swear this only has 3, maybe 2 nights. Typically, I like to build my shocks after every weekend, but admittedly, Kaylee and I in our lives have just been incredibly busy. So Oh, we definitely rebuilt them since then. And that's not overly terrible. I mean, it's still it probably looks way worse on camera than what it is here. I mean, you can still I can see the bottom of the cup in this. It's darker. So the camera's not the camera's definitely not doing us any favors. So what I like to do here, guys, is I will go through and I'll clean off the bladder really good. I will clean off everything else. Just get all the oil off everything, and then um, typically what I look at doing is I will either roll up a rag or like a paper towel and get it down in there the best I can. I will often shoot some kind of aerosol cleaner down into this shock as well, or to the body, to get everything cleaned out best I can. But most of the time, you can do it kind of with this rag method and be totally fine as well. And then I also like to use this time, preferably before you pull the cap and everything off, get any dirt or debris or anything out of uh, anywhere on the shock. But that's more of a kind of a maintenance thing. Um, so I'm going to set this off to the side just so we can see a little bit better, and then. So what I will do from here, I mean, it's pretty simple. The bladder stuff makes things so simple. It's not that crazy. Zimmer's ran 4 shocks in the left rear chili bowl. As Ryan Ralph says, if my spring is too soft, I add compressed air to the right rear for when the track is heavy. When it goes slick, I empty the shock completely. All right, Ryan's. Oh boy, Ryan's on one tonight. Matt says, hey, he's new to Oval, recently purchased new GFRP Assault high bite. We'll be running it at high bite clay, purchased a gear diff for it, and was looking for starter oil thickness that you recommend. Ryan Ralph says, just put water in it, put 0. Don't even put oil in it. And then Ryan says he puts a little grease in it just to coat the gears. Joshua, what's up, man? Good to see you. This looks like way too much. Ryan says this all looks like way too much work. That's fair. So here we go, guys. So now we got everything clean. Everything is nice and ready to go for us. Typically, you would do this on all 4 shocks. I like to do it all 4 first, but you can pull out your favorite shock oil. I am going to put 500 weight. Actually, this is on the rear of my sprint car. I'm going to try 450. I wish I had 425. I only have 400, 450, 500, 550, and 600. But I want to run a little bit softer this weekend. So, oh boy. So here we go. I'm going to put 450 in. Make sure you get it all everywhere. So I fill it up. I don't know if you guys can see. You want to fill it up where it's just a little bit on the what I would call cavernous side. So you want it to dip in. You want to see just a little bit of a dip in, but it be pretty much completely full. And I will show you why eventually. Is there a Panda Express near my track? Yes, there is, Ryan. About 10 minutes down the road. Wayne Davis says his car came alive once he got rid of bladder shocks. That is understandable. Ryan's pumped. Ryan's going to come race with us a bunch if there's Panda Express. Ryan's pumped. Carrie says, y'all run oil? No, we just go the Ryan Ralph method. We just pump it full of air and we just run air shocks. Oh man. So what I'm doing right now, guys, is what I also like to do here now is typically I will pump the shock up. I'll go about 5 pumps. And what that's going to do, you'll never be able to see it on camera, but you'll see some air bubbles build up in here, and you'll let them all float to the top. So what we can do is now we can sit here and let them, we'll let the air all rise to the top to where we can get all the air and bubbles out of the top of that, and then we'll go back to the other camera angle and show you guys to handle that. So, let's see, when you're going to have a working on the track Wednesday. We've actually, funny enough, Ryan, we've actually talked about doing that, and that'll be over on the Raceway 39 channel. But what's going to happen is basically I'm going to have my microphone on, and in hopes that it won't be able to hear the tractor and everything, and then we're going to have a fixed camera on the side of the barn, the pit barn, that's going to look down at the track, and I'll have my phone with me, and more or less we're going to be able to I'll field questions and we can talk, and everybody can have a good time while I'm doing laps on the track to get everything dialed in. So Josh says he started using 30K diff fluid on his cars, and Ralph says he's more of a 5-pump kind of guy himself. Oh man, Ryan's on one tonight. I love it. Oh boy. But yeah, so as soon as the weather turns, guys, we're gonna start scraping the cars scraping the cars. We're gonna scrape the track, scrape the pad rather, to where we're putting the track. We already have all the dirt. We have pit tables. We have everything that we need, and we're gonna get started on that sooner than later. So super excited about that. Shout out to Master Stacker again. They're up here on the screen right now, right there, and Master Stacker provided us our pit tables, and we are beyond thankful for them. So if you're in the Midwest and you need tables or any type of basically anything built table wise or assembly table wise or storage, anything. And they're all they are. That's another thing too. They are also going to be helping with our driver stand, as well as I'm sure a bunch of other projects that we'll come up with. So shout out Master Stacker. Thank you guys. Jeremy is awesome. So if you guys need anything from them, check out Master Stacker for sure. So, but all right, guys. So here we go. So we've sat here. It's been about 5 minutes or so. You want to make sure you look in there and you don't see any air bubbles. And the reason, so if you can see kind of on the screen here, we're building it with a concave, a little bit of a concave to it. And the reason is we're going to put this bladder in. So when we put the bladder in, that's going to push down and it's going to take up the room in there. So if you had it convex on top here, you're just going to be wasting more and more oil. So.
Bud wants to know. Bud said you don't have a European wiener pump to remove your oil bubbles.
Huh. So Ryan says he has 11 million things that he needs to be doing, but he's a procrastinator. Heck yeah. Schroeder says Dustin has called me out again. Shocker. What else is new? Well, have him come over here. Have Dustin come over here. He can give me crap for liking emulsion shocks too. He's given me crap for that for over a year now. He said that on the trackside live that Roy should be on Mount Rushmore. Hey, we're doing something cool without Mount Rushmore, so we're working on that. Be patient with that. Let's see. Bud says you don't have a European wiener pump to remove your air bubbles or oil bubbles. I sure don't. I don't have. I'm just out of my European wiener pump game, and I got to wait on it like a true American now. O-rings are going to dry out before you get that shock back together. So that is another thing, guys. A lot of times, we didn't do it tonight, but a lot of times I will pop, after I drain the shock, I will pop this, I'll pop the bottom cap off and re-grease my rings with some green slime too. But like I said, for the sake of the video, we're trying to do it pretty quickly here. So, all right. So anyway, what I like to do is I will actually put the bladder on the cap like so that because when I do that, I feel like I can get a much better press as I drop it. I'm trying to keep up with comments. Matt's just asking Josh how he likes the 30K. Wade says he runs shock oil so long he forgets what he put in it when the car is good. chance. Then the car's too good to chance changing it. That's fair. That's fair. Ryan, this is not what he would call quick. I'm trying to. Okay, Ryan's getting impatient with us, guys. So here we go. So I put the bladder on the cap here, and then you can push it down. You are going to have some bleed over. And let me actually hold on a second. Technical difficulties or technical resets here. So we do have some little bit of oil bleed over, but that's fine. And then what I like to do is push down here, make sure everything's good and seated. Sorry, everybody. I just want to have a good camera. So then make sure everything's seated, and then come over the top off the top rope and tighten everything down. And then from there, you just grab your favorite rag. If you have everything nice and sealed up, not down into the vent hole, I would prefer. But around here, if you want to spray it with some brake clean, you can, to get some of that excess oil out. And to counteract Ryan Ralph's point, this can be incredibly fast if you're not trying to show a bunch of people how or what you're doing with it. So now pump it up a little bit. There's that millimeter. But no, just kidding. But as you pump it up, you may have a little bit of oil coming out of the vent hole up top here, and that's okay. But then you have a ready to go shock. And then sometimes you can crack it loose a little bit just to make sure you get everything nice, and then tighten her back down. And there you go, guys. So got a shock that is bladder shock that's ready to roll. So there you are. I personally still enjoy building emulsion shocks, but that's just me. So I do think it is harder to find a more consistent. I think it's harder to have a more consistent emulsion shock versus a bladder shock, but is what it is. So Bud says push a shaft in with the spring retainer. So then push the bladder to the top, forcing the bleed over. Then install the cap. Done. Ryan says skip the shock pliers and grab the baby channel locks. Ralph's just here to talk crap. I like that. 3 days later. Bud says push the shaft in with the spring retainer on, and then push the bladder on top, forcing bleed over, and then install the cap. We can do that. We can do that while we're here. May have to add a little bit more oil now, but that's fine. So we're gonna do things Bud's way as well. We can do that quickly and see if we feel anything different or fun. Because I will say I do know a lot of guys, when they build, they will compress the shock as well. So
You said bladder on while the shaft is in.
Yep. So we'll do that. Let me top that off. I'm almost that was probably too much oil. I'm almost on a concave now. But that just means we're going to basically have too much. So no big deal. Bud, but Ryan Ralph says, Bud, you sound like my wife. Let's see. Brian says, do you have a rule of thumb when it comes to what weight oil for high bite versus loose bite tracks? Example, higher weight oils for high bite, etc. So what I feel like you can get away with, typically high bite, we're gonna let that pump her up a little bit. I have too much oil in here now, but it'll be all right. Okay, now we got a lot of air in there to get out. Let's see, go back to this view. Boom, there we go. So Brian says, what is a good rule of thumb for oils for high bite? Excuse me, versus loose dirt. I haven't run a ton of loose dirt in a way where, or a ton of high bite where I would have a really great opinion. I know Ralph's in here. There's a lot of great guys in here that would have a good opinion, and we can kind of lean on them for that, for this. But personally, I think at least typically on high bite stuff, it is going to be more. It's going to be more likely that a high bite track is going to be smoother, I would say, on a typical night. So you can more than likely get away with, you can kind of go either direction realistically because, as far as a comfort perspective, and I say that because whatever you're looking for out of the car on a smoother track, it's gonna be magnified basically. Where if you're on a looser track or a bumpier track rather, it's gonna be you're not gonna be able to feel the car's just going to be bouncing around and be going everywhere. So it's super difficult to be able to say right or wrong. It's a more of a feel of what you're looking for, and I don't think there's a right or wrong way for each individual person. So lots of Justin Waller says lots of shaft talk. Nice. Mike Woods, why would you put the bladder on top of the shock when you put your finger over the bladder and pull down with the shaft? This creates vacuum and pulls the bladder into the body and then put the cap on. Why would you put the bladder on top of the shock, then put your finger over the bladder and pull down on the shaft? This creates vacuum. We can also try that, Mike. That'd be interesting. Casey says, I've learned to rebleed the emulsion shocks throughout the day. Yes, and a warm shock in the heat in the afternoon would build internal pressure. Yes, so that is where, Casey, that is where the inconsistency of an emulsion shock comes from. When I've talked about the bladders having vent screws or vent holes and everything, that is exactly what we're talking about. That's why you can have a more consistent. That's why you can have a more consistent car. So typically you can have a more consistent car with bladder shocks because again, you're not building pressure, to your point, Casey. So absolutely. Ralph says 50 on high bite. So Ryan, I know you're on here being a jokester, Ryan, and I love that. But on a serious note, do you typically find that you want to have higher oils on higher bite stuff when it's smoother? I would assume that would be the way that would go to help answer Brian's question a little bit better. Have a pro answer the question, if you will. And then Bud says, "Well, that's gone."
Oh, I saw where it went.
Thank you. You're playing with my spring and had a rogue spring go jump all over the place on me.
My God, one.
Kaylee is a big Jonathan Davenport fan, and he just won night one at Golden Isles, so she's happy. Okay, guys. So we have. Thank you. Sorry. So we have basically all of our air and everything is out of our shock, so we can go back over here. And so this time I want to go back up to Bud's comment. I want to build it exactly how Bud said. Bladder on with the shaft in. Push the shaft in with a spring retainer on. Okay. And then push the bladder on top, forcing bleed over, and then install the cap. Got it. So we don't ever pull the shaft back out then, is what Bud's saying. Yes, Mike. So the cold would affect emulsion shocks as well. It goes either way. So, um, Rick Putnam, Mr. Smooth. Speaking of Mr. Smooth, he's in here. So yeah, we're all in agreement then. So the heavier stuff is for a smoother surface to slow the weight transfer and all that rough and bumpy. We're gonna put lighter weight stuff on. So Brian, if you're still in here, heavy for smooth, high bite, lower weight oils for bumpy and rough. Absolutely. Bud says his wife's pissed. She's an RTJ fan. So, all right. So here we go, guys. We're gonna do this how Bud told us to, and see what we come up with. So we are compressed with a spring cup on, and then so now we're putting our. Like I said, I had way too much oil in here. So now we put our bladder on. And then here we trying to get my hand out of the way. Sorry guys. Whoops. Didn't mean to pull that down. Now we can tighten her up. And then I'm going to take her off camera here for just a second. Whoops. Got to get my spring cup out of the way so I can wipe everything off. And significantly more dead. So I like that. But give me just a second here, guys. I'm just cleaning everything off camera. So that is Bud is on to something for sure there, because or explaining how for us to do it the right way, because when we're talking a dead shock, this puppy is significantly more dead than the one that I built. So boom, nothing. And she is smooth. So I love it. Very nice. So anybody who just came in or is just catching on to this now, what we did this time when we rebuilt this was fill it full of oil, get all the air out, and then compress the shaft all the way into the body with a spring retainer on so that you have a little bit of a gap. So like so, fully compress, then put your bladder on, tighten your top collar down, and then that is significantly better. So thank you very much to you, Bud, because that was very nice.
He said mic drop.
Mic drop. Heck yeah. Let's see. Brian says, "Hell yeah" for JD. Mike, I didn't see where T Mac finished. I'm not sure if he had a good run or not. And then, oh, there we go. Oh no, that's the Crown Vics. Kenny Schrader's running a Crown Vic tonight. That's pretty awesome. Brian says, "Sweet, thanks, guys." Casey says, "Absolutely, depending on what the temps are is when you." Yep, absolutely. Bud says, "Mic drop." I like that. Rick says, "Now listen to it for air." And I'm not hearing anything. So there we are. She's a beaut. Boop. There you go, guys. Completely dead shock. As Bud said, mic drop. So, all right. So we're at an hour already, and it's about bedtime for me, guys. So I want to touch on the last couple things here. And a couple of these is going to be something that is like duh for most of you, but it is something that I was like, I said duh myself, but it made a total sense. And I'm like, why has nobody ever said that? Just to make it all make more sense. So what happened was I was at a track and I was changing a ton of ride height and a ton of droop. And I was really playing with it, playing with that. So what happened was I actually got to a point where I was trying to get so much droop, and this can go either way. But so basically, the moral of the story is, guys, is for those that don't know, and like I said, this is going to be of course, for a lot of people, but there are some people that won't understand or won't know this until it gets said. I mean, I was one of them when I was getting back started in all this. So they make different heights of these spring cups. And those different heights allow you to, and I need to get in my box and see if I even have different ones to show. But so as you guys can see, so this one right here, because of how much taller this portion is right here, what that's doing is allowing it to go further down on the rod end. So basically allowing you to not have to max out your shock collars is what that inevitably comes out to when you're trying to set ride heights and all that. So because when I was trying to change my droop and all that, what was basically happening here was I was running out of shock collar to be able to raise up and raise my ride heights. Or let's see when that's sitting there. So I think I was trying to lower my ride heights, and I was running out of shock collar. Yes, I was trying to lower my ride height, so I ran out of shock collar and body travel to be able to take more and more ride height out of the car. And so I had it maxed out. So what you can do is you can change these spring cups. Kit, I believe, comes with a significantly flatter style, which actually I have on the late model right here. So you guys can see the difference. There's a spring on the late model, but you guys should be able to see the difference here. So see the spring cup of this one versus the spring cup that's on the late model? Virtually flat versus you can have a much, much deeper spring cup here. And like I said, I know that this is elementary and this is very duh for most people, but there's a lot of people that don't know that. And admittedly, I didn't. I knew that there was different spring cups, but I never put it together as a tuning option to be able to get essentially more access to the threaded part of the body of my shock when I'm trying to adjust and affect ride heights. So just something to think about. That was the main thing that I wanted to talk about for spring cups, and something that hopefully will help a lot of people, because again, I didn't look into that or think about that until I got into a position where I was trying to lower my ride height so much that I lost the ability to lower the car so much. So hopefully that helps. Hopefully that's something to look into, and we can go from there. But Bobby says that I have to hold it up to my ear to listen for air. Yep, that's exactly what Rick just said, Bobby. Brian says he didn't know that. Okay, good. So Rick says lowered spring cups come on the 26th. Okay, so I either had them backwards or something, Rick, or I don't know what it was, but I needed even more, or maybe I had at some point switched to the taller spring cup or whatever it was. But whatever ended up happening, I wanted to have these to lower my ride heights to what I needed. So that's where I was at. And Casey says that was the first thing he did was get lowered spring cups. Yep. So again, guys, like I said, I know that is a elementary thing that everybody's going to know, but it was something that, although I knew that there were different spring cups available, it's something that I didn't know to think of, especially in a pinch, to have that even as a tuning option in your box. So again, just an idea, just something to think about. So. And then the last thing tonight, guys, before we get out of here is, and one thing that I wanted to touch on is recently I got on Steam. So any of you guys that have a PC out there, I think Steam works on Mac too. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that. But anyway, I know for sure it works on PC. So if you have, and this is specific as of right now, to my understanding, this is specific to the Fly Sky Noble series, or at least the Fly Sky brand. I don't know about the Noble series versus anything else. But I got on Steam, which is a video game kind of storage, video game style place where you can buy a bunch of different video games online, and it's a video game platform, if you will. And there is a game out there called VRC Pro, and virtual RC is what I'm assuming VRC stands for. And they have a lot of like what I would call modern tracks or larger name tracks out there. And with this Fly Sky remote, you can plug in via USB-C, and you can make this remote a actual like game pad or game input pad for your computer. And you can drive from the driver's stand just like normal. They have snowbirds on there. They have all kinds of RC excitement, I think. So there's all kinds of different ways to race, or all kinds of different places to race. On road, off road. They don't have dirt oval yet. I'm hoping dirt oval will come out sooner than later, or even come out. But so hopefully there will be a dirt oval portion at some point. But just wanted you guys to know that. So because I know that all of us kind of struggle from time to time to get wheel time, and like the dirt off-road stuff is, I think they have 10th scale like four-wheel drive short course, and then it's 8th scale electric and 8th scale nitro buggy. Then they have on-road, which is electric and nitro buggy, and then they have like electric truck and something else. I would be lying to you if I said it was the more like modern classes. But VRC Pro, they have updated it with tracks and such since then, since it's been released, but they really haven't upgraded the cars. So I'm hoping cars will maybe get upgraded at some point. But just wanted you guys to know about this. This transmitter specifically is what you can do with the USB-C. They also make a adapter that you plug in via USB to your computer, and then you plug that adapter into a receiver. But from what I'm reading and from what I'm understanding, you actually can't, like, those can't get imported anymore from wherever they're made. So I think that's becoming a harder and harder thing. So if you have the Fly Sky remote, look into that. And if you want more wheel time, you can hook it up to hook it up to a big TV here in my RC room when I want to race, and you can get significantly more wheel time from the comfort of your own home, so that when it's time to go out and race and get to the track, you can have more experience, more feel. You can have the radio in your hand more. So I just wanted people to know about that. I thought that was really, really important and something really, really cool, and wanted to make sure that those of you who don't know about it, I'm sure a lot of people do know about it, but I want to make sure those of you who don't know about it now. So because we're always trying to get radio time. And what a better way than, you can sit on your couch or from the comfort of your own home, or whatever. So anyway, guys, I appreciate it. I'm getting off here. I appreciate you all so much for watching. We got up to 50, 60 people again, which is great. Last couple of comments here is Bruce says he was looking for big bore spring buckets and couldn't find them. Good question, Bruce. I'm not sure about that. I have to look that up myself. And then Rick says typically he likes the non-lowered, so he has more collar adjustment. So I agree, Rick, and that's what I have on my late model. But I was trying to get my ride height so much lower on my sprint car and not affect droop that I had to have the lowered buckets. So that's just what it took. So. But alrighty, guys. Joshua says VRC Pro. He just looked it up on Steam. Nice. Yeah. No, check it out, dude. It's really cool, especially if you have the Fly Sky. It's a really, really cool thing. Again, not the most modern of cars. Kind of the older style, like 8th scale buggies and stuff. But it is really, really cool. So, Brian says thanks for help. Greatly appreciate it. Absolutely, Brian. If you need anything, just send a message to the page, and would love to help out any way that we can. And then what is the name? Dan Tyler, the name of the website is, you go to Steam. It's all on Steam. So I think it's like Steam, just steam.com. Or you look up for like Steam Gaming or something like that. And then the game within Steam will be VRC Pro. And then there's all kinds of like different options that you can buy and get different upgrades and packages and all that stuff. So Kaylee's putting a link in right now to the comments. And yeah, we'll go through it. Dennis, you said holes in the shock tower. I was trying not to affect droop, and then also I think I was out of shock or something, ball cup, whatever it was, Dennis. That was like the only option that I had, and maybe it was just even the only option that I had in a pinch. You texted that to me, Kaylee.
I also put it in.
Oh, okay, cool.
I just didn't know if you wanted to screen share, so that's why.
Oh no, yeah, we don't want to do that. But cool. Thank you, Dennis. I appreciate it. Dan says right. And then Casey says, "Give me just a minute, and he will send the part number." Oh, for the lowered buckets, Casey. Yeah, and that's something I need to do from now on, guys. Too, when we're talking about stuff, I'll try to start getting part numbers for people so that we have so I can put those out there. Kaylee does an exceptional job of putting links on for things for most of the time, but we
I
didn't.
don't know part numbers.
She doesn't have part numbers mastered yet, but we're getting her there. So, but yeah. So anyway, guys, thank you all again so much. I appreciate it. We're getting off of here. Casey, I don't think it's a big deal about the part numbers. Don't worry about it, man. It's not a huge deal. I think Ori's putting it right now, but okay. So all the links for Steam are in there, guys. So any of you who are looking for VRC Pro, Kaylee's put it in there. And yeah, we're getting off here, guys. Thank you all so much again for another Wrenchin Wednesday. Make sure you check out the this week's podcast episode is launching tomorrow. It is with Chris Baumgartner from Velocity RC. It was an awesome interview. It was such an incredible interview from a learning experience to understand the industry a lot more, understand a lot more of the what it takes to build a kit and bring a new kit to market. And Chris is an incredible guy. The entire Velocity RC guys are incredible. And yeah, so that's it for me, guys. I just wanted to make sure everybody we all got to hang out on another Wrenchin Wednesday. Make sure, please, please, please listen to the podcast, like, comment, share on it. And if you guys wouldn't mind also when you're listening to it, wherever you listen, whether it's Spotify, Apple Podcasts, you can't leave a review, I don't believe, on YouTube. So if you're on Apple Podcast or you're on Spotify, please leave a review. That helps. The more and more reviews we get, the more and more it gets pushed to other people. So I greatly, greatly appreciate it when you guys do that. And outside of that, guys, again, we're getting off here. Until next week, if anybody has anything, send a message to the page. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Good luck. Safe travels to everywhere you're going, and safe travels home. So appreciate you guys. Peace.